This podcast is sponsored by eBay Canada. eBay Canada has been supporting Canadian small business retailers for 25 years. With their up and running program, you can access eBay's 180 plus million buyers in 190 countries around the world. With up and running, there are no listing fees on up to 200 listings per month, and you only pay fees when you sell. As part of the eBay community, you get real-time advice and inspiration and access to powerful selling tools and insights. Go to ebay.ca/up and running, stay local, and sell global.
Welcome to Canada's podcast, the #1 podcast for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. Hi everybody, I'm Phil Bliss, and today I'd like to welcome Christina Barbados, or Barbato, as you said, if you really want to be, if you have Italian listeners and viewers, which I'm sure we do if we're in the Toronto.
That's right.
And you know what? I think, Christina, we can see who you are, for who you work for or founded at the back of you, SP Nutraceuticals. But maybe you can just give us a little bit about yourself, what you do now. Give us that sort of 3 to 5 minute. Who is Christina Barbados? I like Barbato better.
Absolutely, yeah. So I grew up in the small town of Sarnia, Ontario, and from there I went to McMaster University and I did a business undergrad there. Mm-hmm. I went straight into law school at the University of Windsor, and then ended up downtown. I had 3 sisters living there at the time. Mm-hmm. And I got a job at Roche & Genova, which was an up-and-coming law firm in the class action and personal injury areas. Mm-hmm. They had 5 lawyers there when I started, and we had about 18 by the time that I left. And so they, gained a lot of successes and a great reputation in class actions and personal injury while I was there. And we call it our RG family. It was a great law firm to work at.
So, there you are, you got your law degree, you're practicing, growing practice. What are you doing as an entrepreneur? I mean, why pack that in and sort of, you're one of the 2 founders of SP. Why'd you do that?
Yeah, I think it was a tough decision for sure. But I think that for most entrepreneurs, and definitely for me, the idea of being able to be a part of creating something from something that didn't exist, and you were going to be a part of creating something that would then leave its mark on the world. And that idea that you could be a part of something like that was incredibly enticing. And the other thing I will say is that I was really open to the challenge. It wasn't my background. It was very scientific, and and turning into, a very consumer and sales kind of product. And none of that is, I didn't know any of that, but it was a challenge. It was something to start fresh, learn new, rise to the occasion, and just really be an integral part of creating something.
So, I mean, I think it's interesting for everyone. We don't get too many entrepreneurs from the bio industry. I mean, I guess the recent ones have been the cannabis side of it, which is the bio industry when all said and done. But, tell us a little bit more about, the bio industry and how it exists and evolves and developing in Toronto, in Canada, in sort of the Ontario area is really what we're interested in.
Yeah, I think that there are so many incredible people creating amazing, amazing things. And I hope that there's more and more support for entrepreneurs and people really taking a risk to attempt to create these things, because they're all great ideas that, if they're properly supported and if they're done right, could really end up helping our community and potentially helping the world in terms of those that are more global. In our specific industry, like in the nutraceutical space, our mission was that, we wanted to bring a different kind of product to the market. We wanted to bring a validated bioactive. So instead of taking a natural supplement where there was health benefits, but you didn't know what in the bioactive was doing it, and you weren't sure if you were getting the right dose of it. We wanted to start from what's the thing in the natural product that's working for the person or the disease, and how much of it do you need in order for it to be effective, and to create products that work because you've done the work to prove all of that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay. So, why here? I mean, I mean, I presume you're a startup still. You've got investors, but I mean, is the bio side of things big here? I mean, we have Guelph, I know that, which is a great university from the agro bio side of things. Is this a good place to kind of, well, you said you had a global outlook to build a global business?
That's a tough question. I think that we did have a lot of access to grants and to support, especially through our academic connection through Paul and the University of Guelph. And all of that, I would say, is a great system that is set up here. Where I have found it difficult in Canada is on costing and competitiveness when we come to things like importing ingredients, manufacturing costs, and then managing logistics in terms of freight and importing and exporting and the cost of that. So as we study whether or not to eventually move to a model where we manufacture in the United States, for example, or elsewhere, that's where I find it difficult, where Canada is perhaps not as competitive.
And is it a tax thing? Is it is it income thing? I mean, why, everybody wants manufacturing, which is what you are when all's said and done. Why, where do we fall down? I mean, people, I want people to hear that. Lots of people listen to our program. So,
yeah, it's hard for me to say, not being a manufacturer and knowing all those costs, but there are the customs and the importing of ingredients is definitely more expensive. Also, there's a lot of ingredients that are created or imported and then wouldn't need as much freight costs because they're already in the United States, whereas they're not here. We're having to get them from the United States because we can't find them here. So having
you've got sort of the avocados and stuff. I was looking at your website, and
yes. So for example, yeah, there's no choice on our avocado, definitely. But that's more of a climate issue here. But there's other ingredients that could be imported from other countries and then distributed to companies here. But it's just not as prevalent as in the United States. And then on the manufacturing front, I imagine it's a lot of things: equipment costs, labor costs, regulatory costs. So yeah, I think if manufacturing could be more supportive and more competitive, then more companies would be able to stay here.
What's been the greatest challenge you faced to date?
I would say
in the business, as an entrepreneur, basically.
Yeah, I would say that we're getting the kind of regulatory approvals that we want in a timely manner, so that we could advance our business quicker. That was coming from the private sector. It was difficult to accept 7 or 8 month wait time for certain things. right? That seemed like a lifetime to me.
Yeah, yeah. But having said that, it has that, you've got that pharmaceutical name, even though it's natural products. I
Yeah.
mean, isn't that a good thing? I mean, don't you feel that without that regulatory kind of side of things, that it could go too fast with
Oh,
potential consequences, kind of thing?
yes, and the NNHPD in Canada, Health Canada's natural health product division is a fabulous, fabulous addition. And what they have done is they're working towards better and more regulated natural health products, which is definitely the way we can go for two reasons. Firstly, it's going to end up providing people with better choices and more information. And so you can take the supplements that you just take because they make you feel good. That's great. But you should also have some choice around some natural options for prevention and treatment.
Hmm.
They're out there. The nature has all kinds of things that can help us as humans that we're not utilizing, and we could be. And and they're safer, and they're just they're a step that we're missing before getting sick and going into pharmaceutical intervention.
This podcast is sponsored by eBay Canada. eBay Canada is powering Canadian small businesses. Go to ebay.ca/up and running to open your new global e-commerce business.
What's your biggest challenge in the future as an entrepreneur? Not personally, but
I think getting the sales and the education to consumers right. So really reaching who we need to reach in a way that tells our story and communicates the benefits of the product in a way that people understand. There's a lot of really complicated science behind it, and trying to simplify that down so that people can understand its benefits
Yeah,
and who
I know what you mean. Yeah.
or is a difficult thing to do.
I'm asking this question because I think it's people have processes, and other people can learn from those processes. So when you're faced with unexpected challenges, which we all are, do you have a kind of process? How do you handle them typically? Do you have a ding, 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 ding kind of thing where you go through a process, or do you just, you know, hit it head on kind of thing?
I think that's where it's been, when I first became co-founder of this company, I did worry that my skill set, especially at the beginning of this, perhaps wouldn't be translatable or wouldn't be useful.
Mm-hmm.
I actually found the opposite, that we had a lot of scientists and coming at problems from a different perspective, especially because I was at a law firm that handled, defective medical devices and defective drug cases. And so coming at it from that perspective of, for example, sitting in a lab meeting where the preclinical was only going to have male mice, and saying, well, why are we only having male mice? We should have 50-50 male to female, because what if what if it causes damage in a female organ? I mean, that's something that we would want to know. And it was something where in science, sometimes that's not a consideration, because they know, in the future there's going to be human studies. But in that moment, it's like, well, if we're putting forth regulatory based on this preclinical, we want it to be the best preclinical it can be. And so, and so decisions were being made from both perspectives of what's normally done in the scientific community, or in this particular case, and what can we do to sort of better that process, to better protect the quality of what we're doing.
So let's move on to some kind of lessons learned. If you knew what you know now, what would you have changed in terms of, when you started the business? Is there stuff that experiences that you can pass on that, you hit, Is it, oh, damn, I wish I'd thought of this earlier, kind of thing?
I think one of the biggest things at the beginning of all of this was that we probably overthought a lot of especially the regulatory. We were always going for the absolute best in everything.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that made us take longer. For the same result, we probably didn't need to do as much as we did. So we've become more efficient as we've learned and gone through this process a few times.
Okay. What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received that you keep on using, kind of thing?
Oh, one piece of advice I got early on that I took very seriously is you only have one reputation, and so you do everything you can to protect it.
Mm-hmm.
So integrity in every decision that you make and every person that you're dealing with is critically important.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So we're going to some rapid fire questions now. That's enough of the deep stuff.
Okay.
Let's have some fun stuff. All right. So you are a lawyer still, because you never stopped being a lawyer, I don't think.
No, I still pay my dues.
But if you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would you be doing instead? Would it be law, or would you be looking for another venture? I'm just curious.
I think I would be in law.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's what I love to do.
Yeah. Okay. What book are you currently reading, listening to, and is there any books or book that you would say you got to read this, kind of thing?
I recently finished Glennon Doyle's Untamed, and I would say that is a book that everyone should read, and it is incredibly enlightening. And I also read Truth Be Told, which is the story of Beverly McLaughlin,
Mm-hmm.
who was our longstanding Chief Justice, and that was also a really eye-opening book to read.
Are you a morning or a night person?
Night.
Night?
Definitely.
There's definitely kind of, 80% of people seem to be morning people that I interview, and 20% are night people.
No, my family knows not to talk to me too much before my coffee.
If you had to pick a word to describe yourself, what would it be, and why would you choose that word?
Oh, one word. I would say positive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's just, I try to see the good in everything and try to, I don't know, add happiness and good spirits to everywhere I go. I just don't really see a point in doing otherwise.
What's keeping you up at night?
Oh gosh, the pandemic.
Yeah, that's an obvious one.
Yeah, the pandemic and everything I read, I feel like out of the United States of America.
Yeah, it's pretty scary at the moment.
Yeah.
We're all suffering. I mean, it's dominating our lives. It's terrible when something you can't control dominates your life. It's really,
Yeah, it's true.
you know, I'm asking this, and it's not. It's a good memory thing, because our favorite place in the world is currently Ontario in Toronto. But what's your most favorite place in the world in terms of places you've visited and on that front?
I might be biased, but it's the Amalfi Coast in Italy.
It's a pretty good place. In terms of routines, it's really good to sort of chat about routines. What are your we all have a morning routine. What are your not three, it doesn't have to be three, but your non-negotiables in the morning? Is it coffee? Is it peace and quiet? What you said? What is it, kind of thing? What are you?
Yeah, my coffee is definitely the priority. And Oh, it's different. Once you become a mom, I feel like you don't really get to dictate what you get to do. But you know, early on, I set rules around getting dressed and having breakfast before anything else gets done.
Mm-hmm.
And once I implemented that rule for everybody in the house, everybody got places on time. So that was a good one.
I mean, the the female entrepreneur doesn't get enough credit, and I mean, I'm interested to know, always to know what your perspective of that is. Is it improving? Is it as bad as ever? You know, how you're I can't say anything about it. I need your reflection on it, basically.
Yeah, what I will say about that is that I don't think we have achieved equality. And I say that because my co-founder is male, what I have experienced a few times, and he was baffled by it too, is I am the CEO of the company and I send an email and that email gets responded to Paul.
That's pretty, yeah, I get it. I get it.
Yeah. And so that happened on a few occasions where it was pretty mind boggling. And what you want to do is say, you know what? What am I going to deal with you?
Oh yeah, okay. Well, that's pretty damn. But it's we've got a lot to do still as in the business world. I think that's what I'm hearing from that.
Absolutely. I feel that there is progress, though. I feel like the conversations that have been had, especially over the last 4 years, I do feel that there have been people listening and that there is behavior that is changing. I will say that.
Okay, well that's pretty positive. So we do this desert island thing. I don't know whether you listen to everything right to the end, but at the end of each session, we say, we drop you off on a small desert island, tropical island. There's only one phone booth. Remember what a phone booth is, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. There's absolutely no internet. There's no technology. Okay.
Okay.
You can pick up the phone at any time and call us on the boat, and we'll come and get you. What do you do? How long do you last?
How long do I last on the island? Oh,
You don't have to last any time. Is that something you want, basically?
I feel like I would probably go a few days, but then I would be terrified that some animal would get me.
Okay, well, Christina, thank you for the interview. It was really good. Actually, really did enjoy it. And we have a lot of people that both look and listen to the podcasts. How can they get a hold of you? Because they never want to get a hold of me, but they do often want to get a hold of you of the people I interview. How can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, email is probably the best. So it's just christina.barbato@spnutra.com.
Mm-hmm. That's about it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Christina, thanks for coming on Canada's podcast. Very interesting. I love the bio industry. It's very, very interesting. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
This podcast is sponsored by eBay Canada. eBay Canada is here to help. They've been supporting Canadian small business retailers for 25 years, and their up and running program is getting Canadian businesses online today. Visit ebay.ca/up and running. Stay local and sell global with eBay.